All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, September 24th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, keep an eye on the pinned comment of this video for all of my final plays, what I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to fade me. In terms of yesterday, that looks like an ugly graphic because it's really small. We had a lot of legs in that same game parlay, but we go 1-1, both half unit plays, so we just lose a little bit off the top. What I will say is, as the season winds down, you might see some more half unit plays in the pinned comment, just because things can get a little wonky at the end of the season, right? So just that's the explanation, I guess, if you do see some more half unit plays. Yesterday, only 4 games on the slate, not the easiest slate to read, so that's definitely why there's half unit plays, but just FYI. But a 1-1 night last night, not going to kill us. We're not writing home to mom and dad about it either, though. But today, we do have a nice and full MLB slate with some playoff implications, am I saying that word correctly? Spots here on the slate, which we're starting off with right away. So guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into it. We got Detroit taking on Tampa Bay. And like I mentioned, playoffs obviously kind of looming here. Detroit just a game up in their wild card spot here over the Twins. Even the Mariners making a little bit of a potential push there as well. So I don't think Detroit wants to lose this game. It's probably why they're heavily favored. Also throw in the fact that they have their ace, Tariq Skubal, AL Cy Young most likely guy on the mound here. Going up against Ryan Pepo. On the mound. I do think that this is probably a Detroit spot, but minus 185 isn't necessarily a price that I want to pay for them. So we're going to kind of go to what we've been doing when I like the starting pitch, and I like the starters on both sides here. I think I'm going to consider that first 5 under, hoping that Skubal can do his job and keep this Tampa Bay offense suppressed, which shouldn't be all that difficult, right? They are a lot better against lefties than they are righties, but still not the best offenses out there. And then Ryan Pepi, like I'm hoping he can do something nice here as well. He does have 30 plate appearances against, small-ish sample size, 30 plate appearances against this Tigers team, average against of just 148, an expected WOBA here of 315, like should be a decent spot for both pitchers. So give me the first 5 under. We may be paying a little bit of juice. In fact, let me get the exact line right now and odds. So under 4.5 right now, over on MGM is minus 200, so you're probably looking at under 4 if anything. But again, Detroit's probably going to want to win this one, and that means Skubal's going to have to pitch a good game. That's the direction I'd lean, but I don't want to pay minus 185 for Detroit, so I'd look at the first 5 under, I guess under 4 in this case, but I don't necessarily love that juice either. I was hoping we get a little bit better of a line of that, but that's the direction I'd go if you could find a better line or odds and massage it a little bit, that type of a thing. Cleveland taking on Cincinnati. Pitching for the Reds going to be Eunice. On the mound for Cleveland is BB, but I guess I can please you guys. Bye, B. I say names weird. I can barely pronounce my own name, so you know what? I'll please the crowd here. But nonetheless, Cleveland has clinched their division. They're really strong favorites in this one at minus 166, but I don't think there's any real indication or reason why we should lean towards the Reds, other than the fact that maybe Cleveland's not exactly taking this all that seriously. But what I will say is this Reds team offensively could be in a decent spot. I mean, yes, they scored 0 runs last game, but prior to that, they scored 8 and 7 against Pittsburgh. Now, that was in Great American Ballpark, which is obviously a little bit more hitter-friendly than Progressive Field, which is where they're playing today, and I think we're expecting some weather in Cleveland. But I guess for the price, I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I think there's enough here to say a potential flyer with the Reds. I don't want to pay minus 164 in a spot in which Cleveland may not be all that, excited to play. And you even look at their lineup, like there's a decent amount of guys in this lineup that are younger or coming back from injury, whereas the Reds are playing their normal guys. So yes, you see Bybee, you see the Guardians, you're like, oh, easy spot for Cleveland. Not so fast. This could be a spot in which we can consider Cincinnati, but like I said at the beginning of the video, guys, we're definitely looking more at these games more conservatively. Like, things can happen at the end of the year that are just kind of weird. Teams sit guys, team don't care about the games. Some teams, like, even if you're out of the playoffs, a bad team may be throwing in some young guys that are actually filthy, you know what I mean? So all these little nitpicky facts can impact our bets. So definitely be a little bit conservative, but this would be a spot in which maybe for plus 140, plus 150, we sprinkle something on the Reds. I could see it happening. Eunice has been okay. Like, I don't think that he's all that bad of a pitcher. The problem is that bullpen is still still better Cleveland, even if they have some new guys going. Like, I don't trust Cincinnati's bullpen. So I'd go Cincinnati on the money line, or Cincinnati first 5 money line, or nothing. In terms of a total here, it is, like I said, bad weather. I think we have winds blowing out, but a chance of showers, so that kind of cancels out. If the Reds win this one, they probably have to put up a decent number. So screw it. I'm going to lean towards the over as well. Very, very weird game here early on in the slate, I think. But luckily, we do have something to talk about that is just not weird. And in fact, it's an absolute no-brainer. Prize Picks. Play $5. So place a $5 entry. Literally get $50 instantly right now if you use the link in the pinned comment. It's also in the description, or you could use code GUYBOSTON and sign up today. Again, you just place an entry with $5 and you're gonna get $50 instantly. Even if that entry loses, you 10x your money, and guess what? If that entry hits, you get to keep that profit as well. So no better time. We got football starting to get into full swing, right? We got NBA coming, WNBA playoffs, hockey coming. We have baseball playoffs. Like, go ahead and sign up for Prize Picks, guys. Make these games just that much more interesting with your player props. So go check it out. Again, place a $5 entry, get $50 instantly. 10 extra money just for placing an entry. It's kind of a no-brainer. Go ahead and check it out. But let's get back into these games. Like I said, there's some wonky ones. We've already talked about a couple wonky ones. Maybe we'll start getting to some that are a little bit more, I guess, normal. And this is one that I do think is a little bit more normal. Unfortunately, I don't know if we have the value there. And you might hear me say that a few times today, guys, just because even think about that, Cleveland and Cincinnati game, right? It's like that the odds are all over the place, indicating that there's some things are up. But on the mound for Philadelphia is going to be Banks, but it looks like Taijuan Walker is going to be the primary pitcher, going up against Justin Steele, who has been pitching really well. 0.8 ERA in his last 5 games here. Now, the thing that makes this tough is because the Cubs, who knows if they really have all that much to play for, blah, blah, blah. Looks like they do have the majority of their regular players in the lineup with an ace on the mound, you know what I mean? So I like this spot for the Cubs. I just wish we were getting plus money, like it's the Phillies versus the Cubs, a playoff team versus a probably non-playoff team, and, we have to pay minus 120. That's still a fine price tag, but don't you feel like we should be getting plus money for the Cubs in this spot? But nonetheless, I do like the Cubs with Justin Steele here on the mound. In terms of how this went yesterday, Phillies win 6-2. I think that's the game in which they clinched the division, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, this Cubs team has won 5, lost 5 in their last 10. Philadelphia, same exact thing. But with Justin Steele on the mound, I really don't mind the idea of saying, hey, let's trust him. He's a really good pitcher. Taijuan Walker's had his good looks. Either Tanner Banks as an opener has had his good looks, but neither one of them is Justin Steele, right? Like, Taijuan Walker in his last 5 starts here hasn't looked all that tremendous. I think Tanner Banks has only opened up in 1 game this entire season. That was back in the beginning of the season. And then you have Justin Steele, like I mentioned, has literally just been going off this season, and especially in the last 5. So trusting the pitching here in this one. Total sitting at 8.5. I almost want to lean towards a Phillies under in terms of a team total. He's pitched okay against them in the past. 50 plate appearances against, 227 average against, WOBA of 328, slugging of 358. Pretty decent numbers. Strikeout rate at 24. His normal strikeout rate is right around 24, 25, so doesn't go up or down against them, but it's still a decent number, right? A few points above league average. So I think I'm going to lean towards a Phillies team total under, but I don't mind the full game under. Even yesterday, one team went off, one team didn't. We did see an under here, but I almost want to trust Justin Steele, so maybe we look at his earned runs or something like that as well. In fact, let's see if we can get his earned runs up right now, real time. So Justin Steele's earned runs, I don't know if we don't have a line out yet for it, so we'll keep an eye on that. That could definitely be something that I consider. Under, if it's 2.5 earned runs, something like that. All right, Pittsburgh taking on Milwaukee here. Milwaukee's going to be a playoff team. As we know, Pittsburgh not going to be a playoff team. In terms of what Milwaukee's done, last game they win 10-9 against Arizona, but they hadn't won a game in 3 games there, so that was the one game they won against Arizona. And they weren't looking all that great, but they're going up against Pittsburgh here, and I think you're catching a little bit of a break. Like, Milwaukee at minus 130. Screw the playoff implications. I can't say that word today. Implications. Screw the playoff implications. You have Tobias Myers going up against Bailey Falter. You have a better Milwaukee team. You have a better Milwaukee bullpen. Unless I'm missing something with the lineup, which it doesn't look like they have too many new guys playing or anything like that. I like Milwaukee in this spot. Now, it looks like there's going to be rain in Pittsburgh, so I think I'm going to lean towards the under 8 as well. I could see like a 5 to 3 game maximum, which would be a push in this spot. But yeah, I just don't see the reason to lean towards Pittsburgh given the circumstances here. I know Milwaukee is a playoff team and all that jazz, but looks like they're still going to have their main guys out there, and Tobias Myers should be able to get things back on track. He's been up and down, but he's coming off a really good start against Arizona, at least from a, not letting up runs perspective. I think he still let up like 4 hits or something like that in 4 innings, but give me Milwaukee as well as a slight lean towards the under. I don't think the playoff implications are going to make that big of a deal here because I don't think Pittsburgh is all that good, and I think that Milwaukee is still trying to fire on all cylinders and get things grooving heading into the playoffs, which is something to consider as well. Some of these teams that are all good to go, they might be taking their foot off the gas. Some teams that are like, hey, we're a playoff team, but we got to play like a playoff team, they're going to still try to work on things. Washington taking on Kansas City, and man, oh man, it's like the Kansas City Royals are doing everything in their power to lose their playoff spot. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They're now just 1 game up in the wild card, and there's a couple teams, Seattle and Minnesota, that are barking and breathing down their neck. They do have Cole Reagans on the mound today, which is probably good news for them, one of their better pitchers, going up against Mitchell Parker, who I've been a fan of Mitchell Parker at times this season, but towards the end of the year, he's kind of lost me. Cole Reagan's definitely pitching a lot better, 1.8 ERA in his last 5, and that's including a game in which he had 5 earned runs against Houston through 5 innings. So the number, if you exclude that game, is definitely a lot better. The thing is, Kansas City's offense has not been tremendous, like they've scored 1 run in their last 3 games. They've scored 5 runs in their last 5 games. Really not looking all that great. Like their last 5 games, 1-2-1, 0 and 0 runs. They need to get things back on track. Hopefully it could be for the sake of them against Mitchell Parker here, which he only has 5 plate appearances against any current players on this team, but an average against of 500, a slugging of 577, and an expected WOBA here of 452. So I don't actually know who those 5 players are. I could find that out if needed, but I do think that this should be a spot where Milwaukee says, all right, guys, can we sack up and start playing well at the end of the season? They have such young talent, including Bobby Wood Jr., right? And it's like, are we really going to piss away a playoff berth just in this last sort of month of the season? I'm going with Kansas City in this spot. They're minus 165. I honestly don't even know if I mind that price tag because I think that they go balls to the wall to close out the year to make sure they get that, and they have what should be a somewhat of a layup series here to get some wins. So give me Kansas City. The total sitting at 8. I like Kansas City's team total over more than anything. They are on the road, and I think we might be expecting some weather, like 30% chance, but even still, I still like their team total over. Obviously, that total sitting at 8 means that it's not going to be that low scoring of a game. The books would know that if it were to be, right? So I like Kansas City here. Over 3.5 right now, minus 160 on ESPN. Could be a consideration, but I might just go, hey, you know what? Let's keep it simple. Kansas City on the damn money line. All right, Yanks taking on Baltimore. I don't think the Yankees have officially clinched their division yet. They've clinched a playoff berth, but I guess it would be the Orioles if my math is correct. The only team that could potentially catch them with a few games left, but the Orioles are 4 games back of them, I think. I could be wrong about that, but that's just off the top of my head. But we have Clark Schmidt going up against Dean Kramer. I think that it's very important that this series is in New York. This has been a Yankees team that's been a lot better at home in terms of their pitching. Their offense has performed a lot of places, but they've been a lot better at home than on the road. I will say Baltimore's been a good road team too. As in terms of a win-loss, both teams are 42-3. New York at home and Baltimore on the road. So credit to them there. I think that's pretty special. But Baltimore's not been playing very good baseball. You have a Yankees team now, albeit they've had some cupcakes. They played Boston, they played Oakland, and then even Seattle. Seattle didn't look all that competitive against them. But they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Baltimore played Detroit twice, which Detroit's fighting tooth and nail to get a playoff spot. San Francisco, Blake Snell pitched in one of those games, if I'm not mistaken. They've lost 7 of their last 10. So you have one team going like this, that's the Yankees, and then one team going like this, that's the Orioles. I like the Yankees in this spot, minus 160 odds. Really not all that much of a price tag, if you ask me, if we're paying that. I think the Yankees go out there and get to Kramer. Even in terms of a total, over 3.5 runs for their team total could be a spot here. But yeah, I don't love Kramer in this matchup whatsoever. He has seen this Yankees roster, and the Yankees roster has seen him plenty of times. 135 plate appearances against, an average against of 273, slugging of 488, a WOBA of 367. Not tremendous, right? Now, Clark Schmidt, a lot of plate appearances against this Orioles roster, 93. 22% K rate, which is decent, right? His normal K rate's right around 26, but still, Orioles not exactly a big strikeout team, so fine, and the guys on the team especially. But his average against is where it's nice, 195, and you're like, oh, that's average against, right? What's the expected batting average against? 221, still really good. WOBA of 270 just jumps to 305 with the expected WOBA. So Clark Schmidt has been good against his team in 93 plate appearances against. Give me the Yankees on the money line. Total-wise, like I said, maybe Yankees team total over, but I think Yankees money line is probably the spot here. They have the better bullpen, what I think is the better pitcher, and the better offense for sure. All right, we got Toronto taking on the Red Sox. Red Sox get it done yesterday, 4-1. We did have a nice little cash in this game. We had George Springer's under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He had 1 hit, but Toronto only scored 1 run, so not much opportunity for him to score a run or get an RBI there. Today could be a little bit different. Bowden Francis on the mound. As we know, Bowden Francis has been pitching really well. You could look at some of his earned run numbers and his stats, and you'd be like, he's been decent, right? I mean, last 5 starts, 1.4 ERA, so we can't say that. But overall, like in the last, what would we say, maybe 5 to 6 starts, like he's been so good. Going up against Brian Bayo today, who I just don't know if I fully trust. I want Bayo to be good as a Red Sox fan, but he'll have bad starts, and then he'll do what he's been doing. He played against New York and went 5 1/3, 1 earned run. Then he went up against Tampa Bay, did a similar thing, New York being kind of the braggadocious part there because they're a good offense. The guy's a 1.6 ERA, so as good as Bowden Francis has been, 1.6 in the last 5, as good as Bowden Francis has been, Brian Bayo has been just as good. The team necessarily hasn't been, I wouldn't say, playing that well, but in Brian Bayo starts, they're 3-2, so this is a tough spot. I will say that Toronto catching a lot of L's lately. The Red Sox won 3 straight. Maybe there's momentum on their side. This very much could be a homer type pick, but for plus money, I'll lean towards the Red Sox. This game isn't going to matter all that much for either side in terms of whether they make the playoffs or not. The Red Sox still have it in their sights, so that's something that we can, I guess, at least say. You know what I mean? Like, they can make the playoffs, but Toronto really can't, so maybe that helps as well. The Red Sox have the fire. But overall, this is still such a tough one because, like I'm mentioning, like I don't want to back Brian Bayo because he's so inconsistent, but the dude has been pitching well lately. I think I have to trust it for the plus money. We'll go Red Sox on the money line. Total is sitting at 8 right now. I could see this being like a 4-3 game, low scoring. Yesterday, we saw 4-1. The Red Sox did score a bunch of runs in those last 2 games against the Twins, but that was in the same day, so they had a doubleheader. So, like, they were having a really good offensive day, and they just carried it over from game 1 to game 2. I don't think the Red Sox are really much like that as of right now. So I'm going to lean towards the under. I could say like a 4-3 game, 5-3 game too on either side if one team goes off, and that would be a push. Not all that bad. All right, Atlanta taking on the Mets. This should be good. So to set the scene here, the Braves, I think, are only a game or a game and a half back of a wild card spot. That would be the Diamondbacks, who just lost yesterday. But the Mets are only a half game up on the Diamondbacks in the wild card spot. So definitely a game in which we should just see normal baseball, these two teams fighting and all that stuff. I think that I'm going to lean towards the home team here. You have Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound for the Braves. He's been very good at home. Going up against Luis Severino, he's kind of struggled on the road at times this season. Atlanta has won 6 of the last 10 games. The Mets have been playing really well, but to me, it's almost like their offense is way too inconsistent, and Schwellenbach should be able to pitch well, you know. Last time you saw the Mets, he went 7 innings, 11 Ks, 0 earned runs, no walks, 12 pitches per inning. Like, that's pretty damn good, you know. Severino, on the other hand, when he's last seen the Braves, more kind of a middle-of-the-road type of a guy. So, yeah, I'm going to put the ball in Schwellenbach's hands, who looks incredible. Like, some of these numbers now, this is based on that game. I think it was 21 plate appearances against, but just listen to some of these numbers. 53% strikeout rate. What? There's no walks. A 0.048 average against, an expected batting average against of 0.072, an expected slugging, this is slugging, guys, 0.96, and then an expected WOBA of 0.072. Now, I know it's the smallest of sample sizes in the entire world, I get that, but I don't necessarily mind it. I mean, he throws the fastball, the slider, 2 pitches that this is not exactly, you know, the Mets' forte. I think it's a decent spot for, Severino's going to throw a lot of, I want to say, fastballs and, what's his other pitch, like fastball cutter, which makes up, nearly 40% of his pitch mix. Good pitches for Atlanta. So I'm on Atlanta today. Minus 141 are the better odds you can get right now. Can I see New York winning this game? Yes. Am I pumping up Schwellenbach after just 21 plate appearances against? Yes, but I do think that, the one that has more to lose, like the Braves, could be fighting a little bit harder. Like, they're the one going into this fight willing to die, whereas the Mets are in a playoff spot right now, in a wild card spot. So I think the Braves are going to, like, tooth and nail claw at this. And yeah, I'm at a point in the season where I'm definitely considering a lot more of, like, well, who's going to want it more? Who's fighting more? What does this matter more for? Because we're kind of at that point, right, with, like, 4 or 5 games, whatever it is, get left in the MLB season. In terms of a total, I don't have that much of a feel on it because this could either go in a grind it out 2-1 type of a game, or maybe we get into some sort of a run scoring opportunity where they have to score a bunch of runs because the other team did, blah blah blah. I'll lean towards the over, but maybe I look at what I've been doing. The team that I like more, I'll lean towards their team total over. Like, it's simple as that. Instead of trying to say both teams will show up. If I think the Braves are going to care about this game, I'll lean towards their over 3.5. So that's probably what we do if we did this. But a lot of the times today, again, we're going to be conservative with these plays, some half-unit plays. It might just be like simple as Atlanta money line, bet in, forget it type of thing. And guys, before we do move on to the next game here, I want to know who you think is going to win the World Series. So let me know in the comments. I said Philadelphia a long time ago. I still think that that's a team, but we've seen obviously the Dodgers kind of emerge and things start to click for them. The Yankees have looked good all year. Who do you think is winning the World Series? If I had to restate it, I'd still say Philadelphia, as long as their pitching is healthy and they get guys healthy and have their team, right? But I think that there could be some pushes, and teams like guys that didn't, like the Yankees went in this little downturn about a month and a half ago, right? And people are like, oh, they stink. They have such good bats, and if they have home field advantage, such an advantage for the pitching, that could be a World Series team. A sleeper team here. It shouldn't be a sleeper team because they were there last year. But the Diamondbacks, if the Diamondbacks offense continues, they could win it. But those are just like a few names thrown out. Obviously, any team in the playoffs could win it. Let me know in the comments who you guys think is going to win the World Series, and see if you can get a little spicy with a sleeper. Let me know. I think that's we should have a lot of parity in the playoffs this year. I know there's teams at the top and whatnot, but if this MLB season has shown anything, like even some of these great teams like the Yankees, Dodgers, Phillies, like they can lose to any team, especially if you play them in could be a 7-game or 5-game series type of thing. So let me know in the comments who you think's winning the World Series. And also, I wanted to shout it out that we just put this video out yesterday. We actually jumped into Madden. I haven't played Madden in years and did a little contest against the spread. We spin a wheel, get a team, spin another wheel, see what we have to cover in terms of team total, money line, that type of thing. A really fun video. Go check that out. That's on the channel right now. If you like video games, go check it out. You'll love it. If you don't, go check it out. It might be a little funny, a little bit interesting, but go ahead and check out that video. We might do more and more of that on the channel as well. It's not going to take away from anything we're doing here, but yeah, we're trying some new things out, having some fun, bringing more content to you guys. All right, White Sox taking on the Angels here. Obviously, last time these two teams were playing, we were seeing a lot of crazy odds for the Angels. They were like minus 190 and all that. Now we kind of have it more in like a regular range. We have the White Sox at plus 105, the Angels at minus 120. Jonathan Cannon's on the mound going up against Jack Konowich. I think for the plus money, plus 105 is probably where I lean, but come on, guys. Like, towards the end of the year, could we think of like a worse matchup? And just to put salt on the wound, we have 66 to 70% chance of rain in this matchup today. So, this is my lean on this game. That's how I'm leaning there. I don't know. I mean, like I said, plus money for the White Sox, sure. You're crazy. You're an absolute psycho if you are betting this one here. But I'll lean White Sox in terms of total. I'll lean towards the under. I don't think either team is all that firepower enough or has enough firepower type of thing to go out there and do it, but what a bad series. Minnesota taking on Miami. Now, Minnesota, they have Bailey Ober on the mound going up against Ryan Weathers. This should probably come at a good time for them as well. So that Red Sox series knocked the Twins out of playoff spot right now. They're 1 game back of a wild card. They need some wins. They're huge favorites. I would throw Minnesota in some sort of a money line parlay because, like I said, they need it. They have a good pitcher on the mound, and they're better than Miami. Miami has lost 7 of their last 10. So is Minnesota, but now it's time to nut up or shut up, right? So I think that this team goes out there and plays well. They need Bailey Ober to kind of reel it back in. He's a good pitcher. He's had some tough spots in the recent games. I think he's got like a 4 ERA in his last 5, but let's see if he can kind of reel it back in and get them going. This is a spot in which I would definitely consider Minnesota's team total. Ryan Weathers is on the mound for this Miami team. he's nothing to write home about, nothing that I would really trust or anything like that. And again, this is definitely a spot in which I think, well, Minnesota, like they got to be kicking themselves. If they have any sort of pride or anything like that, they'll come out here firing. But we'll be able to tell if this team is like giving up, or because that can go two ways. Like you lose your spot because you blow it and you get crushed by the Red Sox, who aren't even playing all that well, but now they are. You kickstarted their playoff dreams. Now you're sitting here being like, okay, well, we blew it. Wow, woe is us. Or do you fight back? I'm thinking this Twins team fights back with Ober on the mound. Give me them. In total, like I said, team total over, but I don't even know what you can get. It's probably juiced through the moon at 3.5 because the books know exactly what I'm saying too, right? Houston taking on Seattle. Seattle with a nice 6-1 win yesterday. That's big because now they are just a game and a half or a game. I want to say it's a game and a half. I've said that multiple times, but I don't have it up in front of me. Game and a half of the wild card, back of the wild card here. The Astros haven't even clinched the division or their playoff berth because Seattle's in their division. So screw the wild card. Like, what if Seattle wins this series? That's a 2-game swing, right? So this is entertaining. Like, this is what we love to see. And I think I'm going to lean towards the underdog here, like Logan Gilbert on the mound going against Framber Valdez. Maybe I'm here for the entertainment or something like that. But yes, the Seattle offense has impressed me recently, and I'm a doubter on the offense. I've said that over and over again this season. They made some acquisitions. They got a little bit better, but still, I never was bullish on it, right? Their last 4 games, 8, 5, 6. They're scoring runs when they need to. They did it yesterday. They're going up against Framber Valdez, who is a good pitcher, but hasn't been all that stellar against Seattle. Last 3 games against them, and obviously all this year being divisional rivals here. 3.3 ERA, only pitching 5 1/3, only striking out 4 guys, allowing 1 home run per game, pitching nearly 95 pitches, 17 pitches per inning. This is not a guy that's been stellar against his opponent. And you look at Logan Gilbert, he's been good against them, with the exception of his last start. His last start, which came in late May, kind of got crushed by Houston. But if you look at his stats overall, his stats do look a lot better than what Valdez has in his career against the current team. And obviously, both guys have seen the other team multiple times. So I'm trusting Seattle. They got the better pitching. They got a decent enough bullpen, and their offense is looking damn good. So yes, I could see the argument being made for Houston today. So I'm geeked up and just want the drama of this division. But I do still think that there's plenty of lanes to get to for Houston. They have more clutch bats. Seattle, if you've noticed, when they need to win a game, 1 run down in the 8th inning rarely happens. They either get out to a big lead or have a big inning, and that's how they've been winning. So Houston can be a little bit more consistent, but overall, I'm here for it. I'm here for the drama of this division here, and I want to see it. I think, what is this? The AL West is definitely drama filled right now. So give me that spot. In terms of a total, I do think we have 2 good pitchers on the mound. I know Valdez, I just mentioned how he's kind of struggled against them and whatnot. But I still think an under's possible here. I don't think Seattle scores 6 runs again. I don't think Houston scores, 1 run? So that was 7 yesterday. If Seattle comes back down to earth, maybe to 4, and Houston jumps up a little bit to 3, we can still push. I don't mind an under, but you can even see I just made an easy argument for them to push, so we could see an over. Both sides they could see on both the money line and the total today, but give me Seattle and the under. I think that Seattle has a better chance of winning if the game goes under, I'll say that. All right, Colorado taking on St. Louis. I have no real interest in this one. Ryan Feltner on the mound going against Michael McGreevy. This is a spot in which, I'd lean towards St. Louis, sure. I'd also lean towards the over. I think that we have 2 pitchers that could probably let up a few runs. We only have 1 start from McGreevy this year, and he looked really good. It was against a Texas lineup, right, about 2 months ago. Not exactly the best spot. Like, I just went from the series that I'm very excited to watch to this one, and it's like, now, woe is me, right? I'm bummed to even talk about this one. But, I'll lean towards St. Louis. Probably not going to bet it. The over, it is in Colorado. I don't think either team's really caring right now, so it's not like they're going to go out there and shove. Maybe there's some sort of a consideration for the over in terms of final play, but I don't necessarily think so. So, excuse me for blowing by this one, but it just kind of is where it is, and we're at in the season. Oakland taking on Texas. Mitch Spence on the mound going up against Nathan Eovaldi. Playoff implications-wise, I think I nailed it that time, right? Nothing much to monitor here. You have the Rangers, who are not making the playoffs. Obviously, Oakland not making the playoffs. So this is more so just a game to be played, right? What I will say is you have Mitch Spence, who has been decent at home, going up against an offense that isn't, like, spectacular in Texas, right? So maybe there's a little bit of an angle to say, okay, well, Texas's offense isn't going to go off. I'm not saying I'm leaning towards Texas because look at who they have on the mound, Nathan Eovaldi, right? And they're only minus 118 on FanDuel, so maybe there's a little bit of an angle to be like, well, you can start to back him. But at the same time, I do still think that there's credibility to the idea that, well, Texas's offense isn't all that stellar. So this is going to be one where we haven't really leaned this way much. I mean, actually, we probably have in today's video. But I don't mind the under 4.5 here. Let Mitch Spence go out there and hopefully pitch decently. He's looked okay against the Rangers in starts against them. So he has 27 plate appearances against. Smallish sample size, but it's better to have these numbers in a small sample size than bad numbers in a small sample size, right? He's got a 167 average against, a WOBA of 221, and a slugging of 282. Evaldi, 50 plate appearances against this Oakland team, 178 average against, a WOBA of 248, and a slugging of 397. So both pitchers should have a decent start today. So yeah, give me the first 5 under 4.5. As crazy as it is, it's probably one of my more favorite plays. One of my favorite plays. I don't think I need to say more favorite. One of my favorite plays on the board today. So that's probably going to be a final play. Spoiler alert there. But like I said, Texas on the money line is probably still the move. Maybe first 5 money line, just trusting Evaldi because their bullpen is trash. But yeah, I'm going to lean towards the first 5 under. That's my main play in this one. Arizona taking on San Francisco. This game didn't go according to plan yesterday. Now we have Brandon Pfaadt going up against Logan Webb. I still want to lean towards the Arizona team total over, but obviously, we couldn't do that yesterday because they were so juiced through the moon, so we made some sort of same game parlay. It didn't really work out. Logan Webb has a really good start last time out against Arizona. 7 innings, just 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, so he looked really good. That was earlier in the year, though, so maybe things have changed. Brandon Pfaadt, he doesn't have any starts against San Francisco this year, but he has a 1 flat ERA and 2 straight starts here against San Francisco, but those are both last year. In terms of who wins this game, I think it's going to be Arizona. They have a good pitcher on the mound. The offense should be there. You can get them at -135. I like that spot. I'd still lean towards their team total over. This isn't fading Webb, and it's also not just sticking into the cookie cutter thing I've been doing, which is just rolling with Arizona team total over. Yes, I understand that I've been doing that a lot, right? But overall, this is more so, I would say, the idea that Arizona is trying to fight for that playoff spot and keep it. You know what I mean? They're only a game and a half up on the team we talked about, the Braves. The Braves definitely have a chance to beat the Mets today. So Arizona's got to score. They have to win. That's why I like Arizona and their team total. It just so happens that, maybe there's a little bias there, but it just so happens I've been loving Arizona's team total over. But you know what I mean? This is actually a spot in which I'd like Arizona's team total over if it hadn't been something that we might as well get tattooed on our forehead. So Arizona on the money line, and then in terms of a total, I'd look at Arizona's team total over. And guys, I'll say it now. If this cashes, I'll get I'm not getting a tattoo on my forehead. Not on my forehead. All right, Dodgers taking on San Diego should be a good game. Right now, playoff-wise, I believe Dodgers have clinched the division. San Diego looks like they should be okay for their playoff spot. I think that they're 3.5 games up, that first place wild card seed. But nonetheless, we have Logan Knapp going against Michael King. Knapp, not as good as King in terms of how these two teams are playing. San Diego is rocking. Dodgers, not so much. And both teams, you could say, well, they haven't faced the best of competition. I think I'm going to go with the plus money team here in this spot. There's definitely an angle to get to the Dodgers. Do not get me wrong, but Michael King on the mound, I think he's better than Knack, like I said, and you're getting plus money for a Dodgers squad here. I like the spot for them. So give me the Padres on the money line. Total-wise, screw it. I'll say that there could be some runs in this game because we have 2 really good offenses. I'll lean towards the over as well. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys do enjoy it. In fact, if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate it because I understand that baseball is winding down, right? A lot of people like to watch baseball, be entertained by baseball, bet baseball when no other sports are going on. And now that we have, NFL on and hockey's starting to get going preseason, NBA is right around the corner. I understand that baseball kind of winds down, but still, I love doing these videos. We're going to keep doing these throughout the playoffs. And if you're watching right now in the 30-plus minute mark, it means that you're of that similar mindset, or you just love watching the videos, which I'd love you even more for that, right? But I do appreciate the heck out of the support, both in the MLB as well as our venture into the NFL this season. This is our 3rd NFL season, I believe. 3rd or 4th NFL season, but we've never had the support behind it like we do now, right? We're growing a mile a minute here, and I can't thank you guys enough. That is you. I know that I'll keep coming out here making good videos, at least what I think is good, but trust me when I say, and I'm not just BSing you, when I say that you guys are the reason we're growing, you're literally the cog that makes this thing go. I'm just showing up here, making videos, trying to be as consistent as possible, entertaining as possible, but people hitting the subscribe button, liking, commenting, interacting, you're the real ones, and I mean that. It's like when KD said his mom's the real MVP, you're the real MVP. So I'll leave you guys with that. Comment MVP if you made it this far. Catch you guys in the next one, right? Peace out.